It's a pleasure to be able to speak with you today and to be able to explain how the work that Alex and the Canine Training Center, as well as the collaboration with Dr. Otto and Penn Vet, provide enhanced security throughout the transportation sector. And actually beyond that, you'll see that we're not just in the transportation sector. So the mission of the NEDCTP, and I'll try not to read everything for you, but exists to deter and detect the introduction of explosive devices into the transportation system. Canines are a very mobile and very accurate source of detecting explosives, more so probably than anything else that we have. So they're reliable. They serve as a deterrent to terrorism. They offer a timely and mobile response for the transportation operating system. And they function as a key component of TSA's risk-based security model and an integral piece of TSA's multi-layered security program. So you're going to hear more about the layers of security that we implement in the field. The timely response and mobile response is interesting because prior to having the canines, if we had an incident somewhere, we had something we needed to check, we might have a mobile trace detection machine, but mobile X-ray machines are pretty hard to deal with and not all that common. So, or at least for us. So the canine really offers the ability to get someplace quickly and determine, is this something we need to worry about or not? The deterrent to terrorism is huge. It's probably one of the greatest things that we have. But not only that, no one really knows what the dogs are searching for when they come into the airport. So they don't know if they're looking for drugs, looking for guns, looking for money, looking for any number of different things. We just happen to be looking for explosives. Canine teams have proven to be one of the most effective means of detecting explosive substances and complement our other technologies that offer expanded capabilities in terms of detecting other prohibited items. That's where we get into layering, where we've got a lot of different technologies that are out there, and the canine just offers one more layer to be able to detect things. We are the largest explosive detection canine program in DHS and second largest in the federal government, just behind the Department of Defense. So this is where it all started. An interesting story is Canine Brandy. On March of 1972, a TWA jet bound for LA from JFK was contacted in flight shortly after they got off the ground and told that they had a bomb on board the aircraft. The aircraft returned to JFK where everyone was evacuated, and a bomb sniffing dog named Brandy was brought on board to search, and she found the device 12 minutes before it was set to detonate. That same day, then President Nixon directed the Secretary of Transportation to use innovative means to combat the problems plaguing civil aviation, which led to the development of the National Explosive Detection Canine Team Program, same name as we are now, but then under the FAA. So again, timeline 1972, the NEDCTP was created under the FAA. In 2002, obviously after 9/11, it transferred over to TSA. TSA began the proprietary cargo canine program in 2007 and passenger screening canine, which we'll get into here in a minute, in 2011. 2007, with the proprietary cargo canine program, is where I actually began. I came over to TSA from the airline industry, and shortly after 9/11 myself, and went through several different departments and was fortunate enough to be hired on into the first class of TSA cargo. And our job was specifically to screen cargo that was bound for a passenger aircraft, to be sure that all of the cargo on board had been screened. It was a 100% screening mandate from Congress to the air carriers, and we were sort of a stopgap for them to get into, to be able to help them screen until they were able to screen all their cargo themselves, which is what they do now. We still assist, and we are called over to cargo. In fact, we just had a cargo call a couple of days ago for suspicious items, so we're still definitely in that venue along with all the other applications at the airport. So passenger screening canines, all of our dogs are explosive detection canine. As we've evolved, we stood up the passenger screening program, which essentially just gave an additional skill set to the canines and the handlers, to the canine teams. So passenger screening canines detect explosives, odors, on passengers, whether moving or stationary within the passenger screening checkpoint or anywhere else throughout the terminal. PSC enhances explosive detection capabilities when combined with existing layers of passenger screening security measures that are your traditional measures that you see at the checkpoint every time you go through. And we provide a real-time threat assessment of passengers. And there's a variety of ways that we work the dogs in passenger screening. On the left, you'll see that the handler is walking parallel to the passengers. On the right, the somewhat frantic looking response of the dog. That's the response that we get now when we're working what we call the open queue concept, which is cutting wakes of passengers as they are passing by about 5 feet behind them, so that the dog picks up the odor that's being emitted from their personal belongings or from their body in case it is explosives odor. And then the dogs will typically head snap, whip around, and go after the odor. If in fact it turns out that it's a decoy or a role player and it's somebody we've put through to be able to help motivate the dog, as Alex was talking about, then the handler will go ahead and pay by throwing the reward over towards the odor, towards the person or the bag. And if it's not, they escape the dog away, and we have other means of dealing with positive responses in that case. And this is just a breakdown of our locations. So our state and local law enforcement teams, we have 110 teams that are made up of surface, maritime, and aviation. And that's the breakdown on the right. Our passenger screening canines, our security operations teams, we have 50 of those. And we have over 1,000 teams in the field at 114 different locations. And you'll notice that the 114 obviously is shy of the numbers if you add them all up. But at the bottom, there's a disclaimer there that explains that we have LEO and TSA SO assets at the same airport, so it doesn't add up exactly. So again, you've heard us talk about the layers of security with regard to TSA operations, and this is essentially a synergistic approach to safeguarding our areas of operation by providing a level of security at as many different points as possible where a potential threat may exist. Most people have no idea how many security checks they undergo as they enter a transportation environment. The PSC and any DCTP provides real-time threat assessment of passengers and enhanced explosive detection capabilities when combined with existing layers of passenger screening. So again, you enter the checkpoint when you're going through security, and you may have already been through a level of security before you ever get there without even knowing it. And then while you're in there, you end up potentially having a canine go by you and screen you. And then you get to the checkpoint, to the security officers that are up front, and they have another method of screening there, multiple different layers of screening there. And then the great thing about the dogs is you may run into the canine handler or canine team in the sterile area or beyond security. It could be at the gate. It could be anywhere in the airport where you may be undergoing another layer of security even again, even to the extent that we sometimes reverse screen passengers as they get off of aircraft. And a lot of this is to deal with potential insider threat and to make sure that anyone that may have intention of doing us harm has no idea where we might be or when we might be there and the level of screening they're going to receive. So it really, when you talk about layers, it really is a force multiplier. So our modalities for where we work the dogs, and Alex touched on this with the different training areas that we have at Lackland. We have aviation, freight rail, mass transit, highway, pipeline, and maritime. Our law enforcement partners we take care of training their handlers, providing training aids to them, providing explosive storage magazines, and CTC conducts annual on-site canine team recertification. As a program, part of the reimbursements they receive are for veterinary fees, handler salaries, dog food, and equipment. And teams by the numbers, the average number of canines that complete training per year is 350, which is remarkable. The average number of canines in training at any given time is 250. Our student graduation rate is at a 92%, and canine graduation is at an 83%. So really a pretty spectacular graduation rate, and credit to the Canine Training Center for the quality of training they provide. On the right, you'll see German Shepherds, Labrador Retrievers, German short-haired pointers, wire-haired pointers, Vizslas, and Belgian Malinois. These are the dogs that we typically use, although we've used a lot of different breeds. We even had a dog, at least once that I know of, but probably more often than that, that came from the pound and was on its way to being euthanized, and they contacted the training center, and they ended up picking up that dog, training it. Over 400 canines are produced by TSA, or procured, I'm sorry, by TSA each year. We ensure a reliable and adequate supply of canines through the Interagency Service Support Agreement with the DoD and a blanket purchase agreement with domestic stateside vendors. The CTC and the DoD go on buy trips together domestically and overseas to be able to procure the best dogs we can possibly get. TSA's Canine Training Center partners with the DoD during the canine selection process and evaluation process. In addition, another branch of the NADCTP is we have the TSA established the International Canine Security Program, and it's a formal process to evaluate and formally recognize foreign national canine security programs as commensurate to TSA. It's led by TSA's global strategies, and the Canine SP focuses on aviation security, checked baggage, cargo and accessible property. So an example is, in general, cargo that is screened overseas by a canine SP location can be directly transferred to a carrier in the United States without rescreening. And again, we're going back to everything being screened before it goes on to a passenger air carrier. So if we don't recognize their program, then we can't put it on our aircraft in the United States until it's been rescreened. So the process of going through the Canine SP and being approved for that means that their vendors are going to receive their commodities much sooner, because they can transfer plane to plane, as opposed to having to go back to a cargo warehouse, be rescreened, and come back out to the aircraft again. So pretty dynamic program, and we've learned a fair amount about how they train their dogs, which a lot of times is significantly different than how we train. We are directly supported by the chemistry and explosives branch, where our explosive training aids are created and who deliver them to our handlers. So again, CETA is Canine Explosive Training Aids. We do train on actual explosives. We have explosive magazines at the airport where they're bunkers where everything is stored. And the folks in Atlantic City are responsible for procuring the explosives, ensuring the quality of the explosives, assessing explosives for contamination. And where that comes in is when they retrieve our explosives back from us, they will check them for contamination from novel odors in the environment, as well as potential cross-contamination of another explosive odor, because we try to keep our explosives as clean and pure as we possibly can. And then they give us feedback to let us know if we need to do anything different in how we're handling our explosives, which is directly attributes to how well the dogs are going to be able to detect them and how well the handlers will be able to recognize their change of behavior. Accountability of explosives and magazines, and they oversee final disposition. So when they go back, they return them. They oversee the disposition of them. They're helping us to develop a non-detonable training aid for training aids that may be too volatile to be able to use in their normal state. And they deal with vapor characterization and headspace analysis and other chemistry, which I learned, you all may know, but I learned is just the amount of odor that gets out and is available to the dog to be able to sniff and to detect. So where are we going from here? A lot on the screen, but you'll see on there is the OQC, and OQC is relatively recent, and it was developed as a very specific methodology that we worked with CTC on, and the Department of Homeland Security, Science and Technology, to be able to come up with the best way to work the dogs in the queue so that they, as Alex was saying, so that they remain motivated and didn't just go into complete monotony from seeing the same thing over and over again. And again, allowed the greatest change of behavior for the handler to be able to recognize and to be unobtrusive in the queue to the extent possible. So we are going to continue to do what works, and we're going to do our best to eliminate that which doesn't work. We've got a robust canine training instructor program in the field that is constantly working to expand the capabilities of our team. They too train at CTC at the Canine Training Center, and we'll continue to partner and participate with DHS Science and Technology and organizations such as PennVet to remain on the cutting edge of detection capabilities. And that's a very brief nutshell of what we do, but I could talk about this for the rest of the night and probably bore everybody. So I hope that this has been beneficial to you.